I would like to call the Monday, February 17th, 2025 meeting of the Town of Rome Parks and Recreation Committee meeting to order. Roll call from my left, please.
Evenson here.
Minter here.
Reese here.
And Sue Krieger is excused. Certified posting of the meeting.
I certify that on Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, the agenda for the Town of Rome Parks and Recreation Committee meeting for Monday, February 17th, 2025, was posted at the following locations: Rome Town Hall, 2:04 p.m., Quick Trip LLC, 2:12 p.m., Nakusa Port Edward State Bank, 2:19 p.m., posted on the Town of Rome website and emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune on February 12th, 2025.
Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Agenda approved. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We don't have any citizen comment cards. However, if there are any members of the public present who wish to speak when we have the various agenda items, you're welcome to raise your hand to be recognized at that time. Item 7, no action contemplated except possible referral. Information updates, meeting recaps, correspondence, current events, announcements. From my left?
Nothing.
Nothing? I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Anything from the town side? Other than for those listening, remember, if you haven't voted, the primary election is tomorrow. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m.
Correct.
Here at the town hall. Please come out and vote if you haven't. All right, discussion and possible action on the following items. Number 8, discussion and possible action, approval of the Monday, November 18th, 2024 meeting minutes. And yes, that's not a typo. We haven't had a meeting since November 18th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Monday, November 18th, 2024 meeting minutes as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 9, discussion and possible action. Review of the draft S Corp for possible revisions to our updated Corp. So little note for those that maybe don't remember, we were waiting back in November for Wisconsin to come out with the state corp, and they did come out with it right about the time of our November meeting. We haven't had a meeting since then. I personally didn't really see anything in the S Corp that would necessitate us needing to revise what we have in our corp. It was, as the planner had stated, consultant had stated, generically enough written that what we wrote fits in nicely with the state.
I thought so too. I thought it flowed very nicely with it.
I agree. I didn't think there was anything in
All
there.
right.
All
right. Then we'll move on to item number 10. Recommendation to the town board to adopt the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan for the town of Rome.
I'll make a motion that we send the corp to the town board for adoption.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend that the town of Rome's comprehensive outdoor recreation plan be forwarded to the town board for adoption at that level. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 11, discussion and possible action, ban shell donor sign. Did we ever find the list of all the donors, Taylor?
So Jill had it, and then there was quite a bit on there, and then I remember I had forwarded it to you, but again, that's been a couple months.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Did we, so how do we want to proceed? Do we want to proceed with the list of names, actual names on there?
I think the only ones that, we were required, Wisconsin Economic Development Corp said they need their logo on there. And if we're going to put their logo on there, maybe we should do the Visit Rome or Legacies on here. I don't know.
I guess I don't know if at that point we would have to get a new quote, if that would change.
Well, I think that was in the quote. So
But
there
to
was
change them
notes.
all?
there was notes in the quote that said update this to include the Wisconsin Economic Development Corp logo. Just that one. And they came back with the same price. They said it wouldn't change anything.
So Cody said that they have one already.
They provided a plaque.
Yeah, they have a plaque.
Oh, okay, so we don't need to add that
EDC
to
has
this
a
one.
plaque. I don't think they need to be, they just want they either want to be on there or they want their plaque on the,
Their logo,
on the,
okay.
their logo with on the plaque, on the one or the other. Did we find their plaque? I know it was lost for a while. We have it, okay.
So that being said, there's other, Legacies on here, Visit Rome's on here. Are they on other places on the band shell already? Do we take them off, or?
There is a sign in front of the band shell that's in the stone, that was put there during the construction.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because I think Legacy was on there.
So that would be that would be the Legacy, Visit
Visit
Rome.
Rome's on there.
So we should be okay with those. So
So
then,
then, does that mean because they're on here also, so do we take them off of here?
I wouldn't think so. I think you just don't need to worry about logos or anything
Right.
like that. I
Okay.
think you should
Just leave it the way it is.
Numbers that are on the current plaque on there are Visit Rome, Legacy, Sand Valley, and Port Woods State Bank.
and those are pretty much the major
Right.
donors.
And they're also listed
So
on here.
and that's okay if
But
they're
that's just
listed
fine.
twice.
Okay.
I mean, taking them off isn't going to drastically
Okay.
reduce the size of that plaque and/or change the price of the plaque.
Right.
Right.
If we would just want to get this done the way it was, and I think we did get an updated quote for this year,
Yep.
right? So I say we just go ahead and do it.
And then where would it go from here? To the town board or
Yeah, I would
planning
go to
commission?
town.
Doesn't have to planning commission because there's a sign on the building. It's not a sign.
Not in the road, yeah.
All right. Then I would entertain a motion regarding the bandshell donor sign.
I'll move to recommend to the town board to go ahead with our list of donor sign with the updated quote.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend to the town board to move forward with the bandshell donor sign. The only thing I would add for further discussion, we also should put, with note that the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation plaque also needs to be mounted on the building. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 12, Walden Park donor sign. We have a representative of the Walden Park group here. Spread out as you need to.
I've been working on a interpretive sign that would also have the donors on that. That was included in the grant as one of the goals that we said we're going to be developing as part of that project. So I just have kind of what I would consider a really rough draft, and I just wanted to get some feedback, see that everybody has at least a chance to kind of read where I'm at this point with the text and the title, get some feedback. The border, I want to put just some pen and ink sketches that are colorized, kind of like the one in the upper left-hand corner that's Black-Eyed Susan. I'd like the rest to be like that.
Is this the donor sign that we're talking about first?
Well, there's only one sign. It's an
Okay, they're broke down.
interpretive.
Broke
and-
down.
Yeah,
Twice on the
they're two
agenda.
separate things on the agenda, but I think his proposal is we
This is what I'm proposing.
put the donors across
Okay,
the bottom
all right,
or
so
around the edges.
12 and
Right, right.
13 together.
Right,
Okay,
yeah,
all
so this will be in 12 and 13 together, then I should specify.
So I do have a list of like all the wildflowers that are in that vegetative mat that's planted out there. There are actually 53 wildflowers and 22 grasses and sedges, so I'm not gonna try to put every single one on the border, or just wanna get the, I figure kind of with this layout here, I can get between 33 and 35 photos on that border, get the ones that are most common. Most people aren't going to be able to tell the difference in a little sketch like that between like sky blue aster and smooth blue aster. So a blue aster is a blue aster, you know, for folks. So I think I can narrow that down to, again, to the most common plants. And so people can see what's out there. And then, of course, the donors, in this case, names and logos on the bottom. Those that don't have the name incorporated into the logo will add names to that. I just couldn't quite figure out how to do that. I'm don't have the expertise in a graphics program, so I've done this in Word, so that's why things are kind of rough. There won't be any lines around any borders or anything like that in the final. This is what I've been able to work with. I'm kind of thinking maybe the outside border will be more like this inside color, kind of a sand color, so it'll contrast the colors of the flowers, and then I'll get someone with graphics design background to say what would be good for the inner color and to help pick out fonts and that kind of thing. So kind of in the text here, the left side is on talks about native plants and how they're desirable for buffer zones, and they filter nutrients and prevent erosion. And then on the right side, talk about native plants form a diverse ecosystem and that attracts and sustains songbirds and pollinators. So those were kind of the two messages I wanted to get out of this sign. And
And are you thinking we'd sort of have it look sort of like this picture here? I'm picturing a flat sign sort of raised at an angle, so taller legs in the back, shorter legs in the, slightly shorter legs in the front,
yes,
and like angled.
When I was still employed, I worked
like
at
that.
Necedah National Wildlife Refuge, and those 30-degree signs
30
are
degree
what
signs,
we
okay.
look, so you're not reading a sign that's in front of you, you're reading the sign that's kind of down, and then you're looking at the scenery beyond it, so that you can kind of compare what you're reading to with what
That
you're
makes
looking
sense.
at. And so that's kind of a style I like. It's
We've not had any signs like this installed any place in town, have we? Okay.
Russia Creek.
so you can look at the one in the example, and for Cody to help make a decision on there, it's has flat legs on it and it's bolted to a slab, but you can also get it so it gets buried in the ground. You can just put concrete around the ground, and then you could finish it off with concrete, or you could do pavers, or you could just do mulch, whatever, something that would be easy to mow around or weed eat around, so.
What would you think, Cody, for underneath the sign, mulch, concrete?
A large
Pavers.
Verse.
I'm thinking
The face of the sign is
3 by 5?
About 2 foot by 3 foot.
2 by 3. I'd almost go 3 by 5, I think. Make it a little bigger, easier for people to read.
Do you have this, is this part of the money that was raised for it? Is it paid for?
Yes.
Do you
Yes, it would
have
be
a set amount that you have in your head that this will cost?
No, this particular company that I sent that example from is called Gopher Signs. It's kind of a funny name. I think they're out of Minnesota. I think that's
Yeah,
probably why.
they're part of Gopher Sports, and they're
But there's run a couple thousand, and we've got
You've got the money
Right.
raised for it.
somewhere 3 to 5, and some of it's going to depend on.
and these signs are usually heavy-duty acrylic, and it's printed right on the
There's
acrylic.
either a heavy acrylic or, like at the refuge I worked at, we had it was embedded in fiberglass, so
Yeah.
some kind of UV protection one way or another. And I'm even thinking if there's money to get 2 panels,
Well-
just in case one either wears out or gets vandalized or damaged or something like that.
Yeah, it's true. The second one doesn't cost nearly as much as the first one does.
Right, right.
Do you have money in that budget for like a cement pad to set it on? Or
We
the
could find
posted?
we could find the money for that. It's not that big an expense. The other thing I was thinking about too was to maybe that I haven't done yet is figure out maybe incorporate 2 or 3 QR codes that could give you more information, like on the grants that I've involved with that for planting buffers. Maybe like the products that we use there, like the agricole native mat and the woodland living pathway, those kinds of things.
Like to
Um,
learn
and-
more, scan this.
Right, I mean, you know, on a sign, you usually want to have one or two short, simple messages, but maybe use the technology for QR codes.
I'm almost
and
wondering,
link to something more
with the QR codes,
information.
if we posted the links to the town website, with the thing, here's the plant, here's the native, here's a link to native plants, to the rolled out ground stuff.
Right, right.
And then we had just one QR code that said, for more information, visit the Town of Rome website, with one QR code, would take them right to that page, rather than having, like, say, 5 QR codes on the sign. That might be easier. Because then they're only having to scan one code, and it takes them right to the website that would have the links to the various things that you
Yeah,
want to
I-
describe in more detail.
I honestly don't know with the phone. I mean, once you get the links, with phone, isn't it easier to link to different pages with a QR code rather than having?
Oh, yeah, by far. If we want a link
Webpage
from the
links.
sign, we'll want a QR code on the sign rather than the web address.
Yeah.
Just because it's just easier to not have to type in, I mean, okay, if you have the
Right,
web, that's gonna be a static sign, it's not gonna have a live link on it. A QR code would be live, but I think we could I think we could put a page up on the website, or put it on the Park and Rec page under Walden Park, and then list the different items there that you're wanting to highlight, or,
Yeah,
to learn more about.
Sure.
Things that are there. And that would save a little bit of space on the sign, which is always good. And then it'd be easier, I think, for people to use and more informative from there. Plus, then if things change, we have to change the website page, don't have to go back, the code links to the page that exists, and what the content of the page changed, but the code's still good, rather than, say, 5 years from now, something disappears, and now we got a code on there that doesn't go anyplace.
Well, we're making assumptions that QR codes are still going to
Well,
be popular in 5 years too.
Yeah, the QR code will
Technology
be,
changes so
but
quickly.
let's say you had the QR code linking to the company that made the rolled out stuff.
Yep.
Well, if they're not around 5 years from now, then that link wouldn't go anyplace. That's where I'm thinking on there. Cody, question or comments?
So if you're gonna do a QR code, you could actually take a list of all these plants that are here,
Oh, yeah.
pull up your QR code, and then someone can actually walk through there and look for this
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah, and that's yeah,
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, that's a piece we look at manipulating the website page. Okay,
And the second thing, with the concrete that you were talking, if you're gonna spend that kind of coin on a sign,
yeah,
I guess I would make it as stable and as
recommend concrete for the pad. Yeah. Okay,
Put it maybe in an area that we eventually will have picnic table, maybe extend the concrete pad for a picnic area. I don't know.
Sure, that's a possibility, yeah. I was just thinking of kind of near where the path goes down to the kayak launch.
At the
That-
top of
that
the
seems-
hill,
Yep,
kinda.
that seems kind of the
To one
natural
side or
place
the
for
other.
it. And
Okay.
again, make it so it's easy to, low maintenance.
all right. So then our next steps then, I think we should have town staff reach out. I guess we could reach out to Gopher as one possibility, and maybe Quality Printing as another possibility. At least we'd have 2. And they all have graphic designers that if we tell them what we want, if you gave them something like this,
They could run
they'd
with
be
that.
able to take that and turn it into something that they can come up with a picture, much like that Van Shell donor sign is.
I mean, and the illustrations here, I just pulled off the internet, but then with that, you might run into copyright issues too, and a
They'll
professional would know how to either.
Yeah, the printers, the printing companies would know where
They
they
would
could
kn- they
get,
would know how
where
to
they could
work
get
around that.
royalty-free pictures of wildflowers.
Right.
That they could use, and native plants that they could use. If we tell them, here's the ones that we have, we want to make it look nice, how many of these could you scatter around the top and 2 sides, and then leave the bottom for the donors.
Right.
I mean, on there. All right. So then I think what we'll do is we'll have town staff reach out to Quality Printing and Gopher, and I don't know if you all know of any. Lisa, do you know of anybody else for printing?
I mean, Rapid Sign.
Rapid Sign, well, yeah, that's true.
Graphic design.
Yeah, Rapid Sign, then, we'd have three. Let's reach out to the three. Reach out to the three. I'd say I think 3 foot by 5 foot, just to make it a little bit bigger. But you were saying 2 foot by 3 foot?
I'll see if what size frames they have, yeah.
Yeah, well, that might be
What they recommend.
yeah, what they recommend, either or, not bigger than 3 by 5. And then we'll bring that back, hopefully we'll have some prices at the next meeting and maybe some renderings of the potential sign, and we go from there at the next meeting. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
thank you. I think that takes care of both items 12 and 13. All right, item 14, referral from the town board to direct Park and Recreation Committee to designate specific areas in the parks where animals will not be allowed.
I did speak with Jason, although he's not here, he said that he wouldn't, as administrative and police standpoint, wouldn't recommend any signs by the splash pad, like on the concrete, so like no dogs allowed here, like kind of things, or where the bandsaw where there's food. Those were his only recommendations.
So he's saying that we restrict animals off of the splash pad and out of the food area by the band shell.
Those were his only recommendations.
Any other thoughts on that? Or Lisa, any thoughts? You run a lot of the events out there.
I mean, as far as the food, I get it, but like at the farmer's market.
They're always walking
everyone's
around.
dogs up to the
Yeah.
I think it'd be very difficult to restrict them to the food, away from the food area, because we even know, like, what are the boundaries?
I mean, I can see the splash pad.
I guess you could put a sign on the door to the band shell, no animals allowed. Figured if people are gonna be inside serving something out of the band shell, but that would be about the only thing.
Would people do that?
And as the park expands, I mean,
Yeah.
From
Splash
my
pad?
point of view, I
I'd
wouldn't
say just
restrict them
splash.
anywhere.
So you're saying no, it's not even splash pad?
No, because the rules are they must be on a leash and under control, and you have to clean up after them. So, what's the problem? But that's
tend-
my point of view.
Well, I tend
will
to
defer
agree.
to the group,
I tend to agree with that. And they're on a leash, you know.
Right.
You know, because there's just some parents that might be a little afraid of their children being around certain animals.
And most responsible pet owners are going to realize if they have their animal there on a leash and some young child is reacting negatively towards the animal where they seem afraid of it, they're usually going to move away the animal. They'll take the animal to another spot.
Yep, usually.
So you're saying no,
That's my preference, not
Okay.
to restrict things that we don't have a problem with yet.
Okay.
I haven't heard any problems at the splash pad. If somebody else has, I'd be willing to entertain that, but I don't.
well,
I mean, we can always
Never seen a dog in
right,
the splash pad.
right.
I mean, I'm there all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could always revisit it
We
if
can.
we hear
We
that
can.
there's complaints or problems, but personally, I haven't heard anything.
As long as there's a sign that states that they have to be
Right.
leashed.
On a leash and under control.
yeah, and that's clearly stated in the revised ordinance.
But
And
we should consider putting up
did we make any signs about animals allowed on
At
leash
least
under
in the
control?
children's area.
Have we, or can we?
Have you or can you?
Can, I don't know if we have yet.
Okay. It's probably not, because, I mean, we did this like in November, and then it got cold and the ground froze.
And they directed it back,
Right, and then they directed it back here.
so
All right,
now here we are.
all right. Well, do we have a motion then?
I don't know what that would be.
Okay, well, I'll make the motion then. All right, I move that we place no restrictions on controlled animals in the Rome Town parks. And with signage, to that effect that, animals must be leashed, be placed in strategic areas around the Rome Town Center.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so this one will go back to the town board and be on the next town board meeting, probably not Thursday, because well, I don't know if the agenda's gone out yet or not, but probably not on Thursday's meeting, probably be the next one after that. And they could still override what we've done. So don't go make any signs yet, Cody. Wait till the town board finishes off on the,
So that being said, we should look at signs
We should
in
get some-
other parks that say,
yeah.
Animals must be on leash, less than
All
10
pets
feet.
or-
Pets.
Pets, yeah.
Under control and clean up after them. If we can get those little signs with the little bags for picking up
Great.
your dogs, we should price them out.
Oh, we should put, well, that actually comes up in one of the next, well, not that specific item, but number 15 talks about various park amenities. So I think poop disposal stations would be a park amenity. Okay. All right, item 15, discussion and possible action, review of catalogs for pricing of various park amenities. So you'll see this nice folder sitting in front of Cody. That was all the various catalogs that I had requested and Taylor had requested on our behalf from companies that provide playground equipment, picnic tables, benches, concrete game tables, and so on and so forth. And I thought rather than us reviewing them here live and each paging through 200, 300 pages worth of pages of catalogs, my thought was we'd create this folder, we could check it out from Taylor, keep it for a couple of days, look through, and for the next meeting, make a list of either categories or even if you have a specific thing, it's like, oh, I like the concrete hook and ladder game. Make a list of some things and we can talk about, then we can start getting more specifics rather than in a live meeting, it would take us several hours to go through those.
Okay, absolutely.
And, Lisa, I said, like I said, if you would like to look at them too, I have no problem with Visit Rome, looking at them. Dave, I don't know if you have any interest in looking at park amenities or not, but hey, you might see something in there that you say, hey, this makes sense for Weldon Park. So if you want to too, more than welcome, to do that. Cody, if you have some thoughts, I don't want to restrict it to just, committee members, staff can look through the catalogs too. They make for good reading over lunch at times.
So
Lisa.
I do have something I can share.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of you have heard me talk about this, but our marketing firm is subscribed to a service that tracks people, their cell phone pings. Don't get alarmed. So they're developing some reports for us that, where are people coming from, where are they stopping, how long are they staying. All that information is overlaid with a lot of demographic information, behavioral activities and hobby information. So I'll share that with you guys. They're supposed to have part of it done tomorrow for the meetings on Wednesday. That could show that, people have a high interest in badminton or frisbees or whatever. It might be valuable information
could be,
to
yeah.
help you select
Thank you.
what
We
types of-
appreciate sharing that with us. It could be
It'll
interesting.
be interesting
Yeah.
regardless, yeah.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Is that done a couple of times a year, seasonal wise, or?
We are going to do it either by season or quarter. We're kind
Okay.
of going back
All right,
and forth.
yeah. It just,
But it is very robust information.
that's awesome, that's awesome. It would change from season to season around here for sure, so,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you. That's awesome, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, so we'll add the park amenities to the next meeting agenda. Item 16, discussion and possible action, direct staff to obtain costs for ensuring ADA compliance in the Rome Town Center Park. I know this partially had to do with creating a pathway from the splash pad swing set area to the music notes, and from the music notes out to the sidewalk, because they just sort of sit on an island by themselves there right now, if I'm remembering. Of course, the geography's buried under a foot of snow right now. But if I'm remembering the geography right, the music notes are just sort of there on a little island by themselves. So for sure, we would need a connection out, at least out to the sidewalk, if not also out to the other part of the playground area on there. We do have on that circular, let me grab the map. Probably just leave these here, right? That little circular trail that runs around the outside of the Great Lawn area is connected out to the street with a hard-packed surface already, so people can get from the street into the grassy area. But I know we also talked about maybe on either side down there where those little sidewalks come in, putting in some sort of a hard-packed surface of some size for purposes of people with strollers or wheelchairs so that they could be down there. Because I think we talked that, we felt, I think as we were looking at it back in October, if I remember right, we felt that it's better to have those areas further down the Great Lawn rather than right up by the band shell itself, because the people are more likely to want to be further away.
Yeah, a viewing area.
Viewing area,
That's
right.
back a ways,
Right.
and
Viewing area
accessible from the sidewalk.
Off of those two paths that come in, off of either side street there by there.
Which is on the plan, although I think we'd have a pad out here.
Yeah, a pad, right, there's, right, some, no, that might even be, let's see, number 20, what is number 20? Yeah, bench, pad, and shade structure. But we can start with the pads. I don't think they have to be concrete. I think they could be packed gravel like the pathway is now. I don't think we need to necessarily go to the expense of concrete or asphalt. Cody, what do you think if you're gonna create some little pads for like a sitting area, viewing area, packed gravel
For wheelchairs.
for wheelchairs?
And maybe a picnic table.
Yeah, picnic table. We were thinking about getting the ADA compliant picnic table in there as well.
I guess I'd like to go over the drawings, exactly what we're
Okay.
talking, but, yeah, I don't see why you couldn't put some road base in.
Yeah, oh yeah, road base, that's
That
probably what's out there now on the
the
path,
stuff
is
that's
my
on
guess.
that trail out there is packed very hard.
It is, it's parked,
Oh, road base,
yeah,
Yeah.
right,
it's packed very nicely. It's easy to
okay.
put down.
All right. So, I guess then we'd have to figure out, well, we can't do it now till the snow melts, because you'd have to go out and measure and then figure out what you're gonna need for labor for creating the place where the path would go. I know you're not just gonna throw the road base down on top of the grass and pack it down. You're probably gonna dig it out, I'm guessing. So, can't do much about that till the thaw.
Probably the April agenda then.
Yeah, probably April for that one. All right. In the meantime, I could sort of show you on this drawing where we're thinking of those. And if more ideas come up, and as we're looking at, some of the other amenities, it might necessitate some additional paths to connect some of the spots on there.
Well, I think the other priority was the food truck area,
Okay.
Yeah.
which is not on the agenda, but that could be on the agenda.
Put that in the March agenda, food truck
The
area.
electrical and the
All right, March.
pad for it, yeah.
All right, so, all right. So that sort of brings us down to number 17, next agenda items. So we'll have a discussion of the park amenities, the food truck area, and electrical. And hopefully an update on the Walden Park signage. And that's it so far as I can think of. Dave?
Before we end today, I just happened to think of a couple of things. First of all, I wanted to mention that Visit Rome came through and paid in the last week or so the $5,300 Visit Rome grant toward the Walden project, so I wanted to put that on the record that's
Very nice.
to cover part of the 25% match for the grant. The other thing is, when I distributed this sign to keep her in the loop, I CC'd Lori, and she brought up that there might be some other committees or departments or something that might want to review this sign or the replacement? Do you,
There's
do-
not
c-
a
c-
committee.
can we keep that solely with this, working with this committee, or do we need to expand beyond
It's the
that?
zoning administrator that would approve the sign. It doesn't need to go to town board or.
Yeah, 'cause this isn't a road sign, so this is a sign internal to our park. So it's different. It's not an advertising sign, it's not a business sign, so we just have to follow, get approval from the zoning administrator to put the thing on there.
I'd just soon not have to go to 2 or 3
It
different.
shouldn't have, it shouldn't have to, unless the zoning administrator tells us otherwise. I don't believe that it has to go to any place other than us to approve the final design and printing of the sign.
Okay, sounds
And then staff can work with you to pick the best spot out to put it in.
Good.
All right. Next meeting time would be Monday, March 17th at 5 PM. I cannot promise how awake I will be, because I am returning from vacation, flying into Madison like at 11 o'clock on Sunday night, and then driving up from there. So I will be here, barring any delays on the airplanes, but March 17th would be our next meeting then.
Can I have a little green beer to go with that St. Patrick's?
Oh, that's right, it's St. Patrick's
I mean,
Day.
You know,
I don't know if
it is a lucky day after all, even those of us aren't Irish.
I think everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day.
We're all Irish that day.
All right, meeting adjourned at 5:38 PM. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. Stay warm tomorrow.